The house looked ordinary. A white porch, cracked steps, and a front yard overgrown with weeds. To most, it was just another abandoned property on the edge of a small American town. But the locals knew better. They said the house was alive, that it watched anyone who lingered too long at its door. On a chilly October evening, Claire drove past it on her way home from work. She was 24, exhausted from another late shift at the diner and craving nothing but sleep. But as she stopped at the red light across the street, her eyes fell on the house. Its windows were dark, but something about them made her skin crawl, as if someone or something was looking back. She shook her head, forcing a laugh. Just tired. Too many ghost stories from customers at the diner. Still, her fingers gripped the steering wheel tighter. The light turned green. She should have driven on. Instead, her car stalled, as if resisting her command. She cursed under her breath, turning the key again and again. Nothing. The night grew quieter, heavier, until even the crickets seemed to fall silent. Then she saw it. A figure in the window. Just a shadow at first, tall and thin, with a tilt to its head that was almost curious. Claire's throat went dry. She blinked hard, but the figure remained, motionless, watching. She fumbled for her phone to call roadside assistance, but the screen refused to light up. Dead battery. She checked her gas gauge, half a tank. No reason the car shouldn't start. No reason except the house. Claire told herself not to look back, not to feed the thought crawling through her mind. But her eyes betrayed her. The shadow had moved closer. It was no longer in the window. It was at the door. A sound split the silence, a slow, deliberate knock. Claire's heart slammed against her ribs. It wasn't on her car. It wasn't from the street. It came from inside the house. 3 knocks, steady and patient. Don't open the door. That was the town's warning, the phrase whispered to every kid growing up here. She had heard it 100 times, dismissed it as small-town superstition. Yet sitting there, stranded in her car, the words thundered in her mind. Don't open the door. The porch light flickered on. Claire froze. No electricity should have been running in that house. The light buzzed, casting a sickly glow across the rotting wood. And then, slowly, the front door creaked open. Darkness pooled in the gap, thick and unnatural, as if the inside of the house wasn't empty, but endless. Claire couldn't look away. Something shifted within that darkness, like a shape forming just beyond sight. Her car engine roared to life on its own. She gasped, jolting forward, her foot slamming the brake before she could crash into the intersection. She didn't touch the ignition. She didn't even turn the key. The door across the street swung wider. For one terrible second, Claire thought she saw a hand curl around the frame. Long fingers, impossibly pale, nails scraping wood as if savoring the sound. Then it was gone, swallowed back into the black. The light turned red again. The car rattled, struggling to stay alive, and Claire knew she had to move. Every instinct screamed, "Drive, now!" But when she looked up, the shadow was standing outside the house, on the porch, watching her. Claire's breath fogged the windshield as she gripped the steering wheel. Her car idled like a beast on the verge of shutting down again, the engine sputtering unevenly. The shadow on the porch didn't move. It stood there, tall and patient, as though waiting for her to acknowledge it. "Not real," she whispered to herself. "Just tired. It's a trick of the light." But the words felt hollow, because in the pit of her stomach, she knew it was real. The car jolted forward an inch, like someone had given it a push. Claire let out a sharp gasp and slammed the gear into drive. Her tires squealed as she tore down the street, desperate to put distance between herself and that cursed house. For 3 blocks, she didn't dare look back. The night air rushed through the crack in her window, cool and sharp. Her heart finally began to slow, until the radio snapped on. Static hissed through the speakers. She hadn't touched it. The knob hadn't moved. She reached for it, but a voice slid through the static. Claire. She nearly swerved off the road. The voice was dry, brittle, like paper tearing. It said her name again, soft and deliberate. Claire, don't run. Her knuckles whitened on the wheel. Nobody should know her name. Nobody should be in her car. The street ahead stretched empty, lined with sleeping houses and dark windows. But the longer she drove, the less familiar the neighborhood looked. She should have been near Main Street by now. Instead, the road seemed to twist, the houses repeating like a loop she couldn't escape. She slowed, scanning the street signs. None of them had names, just rusted poles and blank metal. Her pulse thudded in her ears. This isn't possible. I know this town. The radio hissed again. Come back. Claire's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, and her stomach dropped. The house was there, behind her. The same broken porch, the same flickering light, the same door hanging open into darkness. It didn't matter how far she had driven. It had followed her. Her chest tightened. She slammed the accelerator, speeding forward, refusing to look back again. But the farther she went, the colder the air became. Frost crawled across the inside of her windshield, spreading like skeletal fingers. She wiped at it frantically, but the ice formed faster than she could clear it. And then she saw him, standing in the middle of the road. Claire slammed the brakes. The tires screeched, the car fishtailed, and she came to a violent stop just inches from the figure. Her body lurched against the seatbelt, knocking the air from her lungs. The figure didn't move. It was tall, impossibly thin, its skin so pale it seemed to glow beneath the streetlight. Its head tilted at that same unnatural angle, as if studying her. Claire's throat locked. Every muscle screamed to stay still, but her hand inched toward the gear shift. The figure leaned forward, closer, and in that moment she saw its eyes. 2 black pits, endless and wet, like holes punched straight through reality. Her chest heaved, tears stinging her vision. She slammed the gear into reverse. But before she could back away, a sound came from her passenger seat. The click of a seatbelt sliding into place. Claire's head snapped to the right. The passenger seat was empty, except for the indentation, the unmistakable weight of someone sitting there. Invisible, but present. The radio whispered again, closer this time, as if the voice was right at her ear. Don't open the door, Claire, unless you want me inside. Her scream caught in her throat as the porch light across the street flickered once more. The house had returned, waiting. Claire's pulse hammered as she stared at the hollow seat beside her. The impression of weight pressed deep into the fabric, as if someone invisible had leaned back, comfortable, waiting. She refused to breathe. If she made a sound, if she acknowledged it, maybe it would become real. The radio buzzed with low static, almost like a heartbeat. Then the voice whispered, closer than ever. Drive, Claire. Take me home. Her hands shook on the steering wheel. Home? What did that mean? She wasn't bringing anything, anyone, back with her. She had to get away. Claire threw the car into drive and stomped the accelerator. The tires screamed against the pavement, and for a moment the world seemed to obey her will. The street opened, the houses blurred, and she felt distance grow. But the road never changed. Block after block, the same dark houses, the same flickering streetlight, the same shadows hunched against the walls. Every turn she made bent back into itself, looping like she was trapped in a maze designed by something that enjoyed watching her panic. The voice hummed low in her ear, a lullaby too close to a growl. "You can't leave, not until you open the door." Claire's eyes burned as tears streaked down her cheeks. "Shut up!" she screamed, her voice raw. The windshield fogged, this time from the inside, curling in shapes that looked like handprints pressing against the glass. One by one, they smeared across, dragging long streaks down, as if something was crawling, trying to find a way in. She slapped the defroster, but the car only groaned. The heater screamed hot air that turned icy by the time it touched her face. Her phone buzzed suddenly, jolting her so hard she nearly dropped it. The screen lit up with a number she didn't recognize, unknown caller. Against every ounce of judgment, she answered. "Claire," the voice said, but this time it wasn't the same dry whisper. It was her mother's voice, gentle, familiar. Her chest seized. "Mom? You sound scared," the voice soothed. "It's okay, sweetheart. Just come to the door. I'll be waiting." Her grip tightened on the phone. Her mother was hundreds of miles away in another state. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. Still, that voice sounded so much like her. Claire swallowed hard and forced herself to hang up. The moment she did, the figure reappeared, standing in the middle of the road, closer than before. Its black eyes locked onto hers, unblinking. Her stomach flipped. She swerved violently, missing it by inches, the car skidding onto the sidewalk. The tires bumped over the curb, and she nearly lost control before slamming back onto the road. And then, silence. The static cut out. The whispering stopped. Even the car's rattling engine steadied, like nothing had happened. For one breathless moment, she thought maybe it was over. Until she looked up. The house was in front of her again, not behind, not following, waiting. The porch light glowed sickly yellow. The door was wide open now, yawning into blackness. And this time, something was there. A silhouette, tall and thin, standing just beyond the threshold. Its hand curled around the edge of the doorframe, nails clicking against the wood. It leaned, like it was listening, like it knew she had no choice left. Claire's chest heaved. Every nerve screamed to run, but the road offered no escape. No matter how far she drove, no matter what turns she made, the house would always be there. Her phone buzzed again. A text lit up the screen. "Open the door." The seat beside her groaned as though someone was shifting, waiting for her to obey. And for the first time, Claire realized the truth. She wasn't locked out of the house. The house was locked inside her. Claire's fingers dug into the steering wheel, her knuckles pale. The glow from the porch light spilled across the road like a trap laid just for her. The house wasn't waiting anymore, it was pulling. The car groaned, gears grinding though she hadn't touched them. The wheel jerked under her grip, turning against her will, dragging the vehicle toward the curb. "No, no!" She fought it, slamming her foot on the brake. The pedal sank uselessly, soft as a sponge. The car crept forward anyway, inch by inch, as if invisible chains had hooked it to the porch. The radio popped alive again, not static this time, breathing, wet, uneven gasps. Then a voice, deeper now, closer. "You've already opened the door, Claire. You just don't remember." She shook her head violently. "No, I didn't." But her body betrayed her. Her hand slid off the wheel, fingers twitching as if commanded by something else. They reached toward the passenger door lock, slowly lifting it with a sharp click. Her throat tightened. She yanked her hand back, clutching it against her chest. But the lock slid up again on its own, deliberate, patient. The passenger door creaked an inch open. A wave of cold air poured inside, sharp, metallic, like the smell of pennies and damp earth. Claire gagged. The indentation in the seat deepened, pressing as though something unseen had leaned closer. Her breath stuttered. She couldn't move, couldn't think. She could only stare as the door creaked wider. And then she heard it. Footsteps. Not outside, not across the street, inside the car. The sound of weight shifting on leather, of something dragging itself across the seat toward her. Her body broke free. She shoved the gear into reverse and floored it. The car shrieked backward, tires squealing, smoke burning from the wheels. She spun the wheel hard, the vehicle fishtailing violently before slamming to a stop sideways in the middle of the street. For one wild second, she thought she'd escaped. Then she looked up. The house wasn't across the road anymore. It stood directly in front of her bumper, towering, endless, its windows now glowing faintly from within, like 100 eyes opening in the dark. Claire screamed and floored the gas. The car surged forward, smashing into the porch steps. Wood splintered, the windshield spiderwebbed with cracks. The engine whined, smoke rising. But when the glass cleared enough for her to see, she wasn't outside. She was in a hallway. Her headlights lit warped wallpaper peeling from the walls, picture frames with faces scratched out, and a floor that stretched too far to belong in any house she'd ever seen. The air buzzed with flies, though she saw none. Her car sat dead, headlights flickering, the dashboard lights blinking like panicked eyes. And from behind her, the voice whispered, softer now, intimate, "You're home." Claire's breath rattled in her chest. She gripped the handle of her door, hesitating. If she stepped out, she would be giving in. But if she stayed, the car shuddered like it was sinking, the floor beneath it creaking, groaning, splintering under weight. The ceiling light above her buzzed, flickered, then blew out. Darkness swallowed the hallway. And in that blackness, she heard movement. Something crawling along the walls. Slow at first, then faster. Closer. She slammed her eyes shut, whispering to herself, "Don't open the door. Don't open the door." But when she opened them again, the car door was already wide open. And something was waiting just outside, crouched low, smiling. Claire's chest heaved as she stared at the open car door. The thing crouched outside never blinked, its grin stretching too wide, teeth too long. The darkness behind it swayed, breathing as though the house itself leaned closer. Her first thought was to slam the door shut, but the handle was gone, smooth metal, nothing to grip. The car had no doors anymore, no escape. "Claire," the whisper breathed, "step inside." The hallway yawned before her, endless and alive, walls pulsing like veins. She knew if she got out, she wouldn't return. But the seat pressed harder beneath her, like invisible hands pushing her out. Her phone lit up one last time on the dashboard. A single text message glowed across the cracked screen. "Everyone opens the door." Her lips trembled. Her body moved against her will. One foot slid onto the warped wooden floor, the boards groaning under her weight. Cold rose through her bones like water filling her veins. The thing crouched lower, smiling wider, until its mouth split its face in two. "Welcome home," it hissed. Claire's scream never came. The hallway swallowed her. The car, the road, the town, all gone. The porch light outside flickered once, twice, then snapped off. And the house stood silent again, waiting. But here's the question no one in that town dares to ask. If Claire never opened the door herself, who or what did it for her? If you enjoyed this horror story, make sure to like, subscribe, and share for more terrifying tales from American Horror Stories. So tell me, would you open the door?